I'm talking about. Faith comes through understanding, which is indirect knowledge, developed from listening, reflecting, and practicing the teachings. Faith comes through understanding, indirect knowledge, developed from listening, reflecting, and practicing the teachings. The intellectual understanding transforms into intuitional understanding through meditation. This reminds me of a scripture that says, let me look it up so I can read it. Because all of these writings, right, are based in truth in some way. And so it doesn't matter what text or scripture is coming from. If it's true, it's true. And your soul bears testimony to it, right? So I think it's Psalm 1, but I'm going to look it up anyway. Okay, there it is. Blessed or happy and favored is the one who does not walk in step with the ignorant. And we just learned that ignorance is the root of all evil. Ignorance of what we are. Hey, what's up, Mark? Ignorance of what we are is the root of all evil. We learned that the other day, right? And so what you are is spirit in a vibration of a human density. That's what you are. And so you are operating in ignorance if you do not remember that. So it says, happy and content and favored is the one who does not walk in ignorance or stand in the way of ignorance or sit in the company of ignorance. But the delight is in the law of the Lord, which are divine principles. And on this law, this person meditates day and night. And the result is that person is like a tree planted by the rivers of water, which yield fruit in its season, and whose leaf does not wither. Thank you for the follow. And whatever that person does shall prosper. Okay. So that was from the Bible. Now, let's go back into this philosophy of enlightenment book, the Kemetic system, because we understand that many of the biblical personalities spent time in Egypt. I could name Moses. I could name Joseph. I could also name Jesus. They spent time in Kemet. So it's saying that some comments are being filtered. So if you just commented, I didn't see it. So let's read this now again. Faith comes through understanding, developed from listening, reflecting, and practicing the teachings. What teachings? Divine principles. Okay, you were agreeing, got you. The intellectual understanding, meaning when you take in new information and you remember it and you understand what it is saying, that is intellectual information. The intellectual information transforms into intuitional understanding through meditation. So you can't just take a new concept and go, oh yeah, I know it, I'm good, I changed. You must meditate on it. The Bible says meditate on it day and night, and the result is like you become steadfast like a tree. This is saying that your intellectual knowledge becomes wisdom through meditation. You sit and you think about it. You allow it to permeate your system. You allow it to change your mindsets. You allow it to change your frame of thinking. You allow it to change your words and how you behave. And in that way, it becomes intuitional. It becomes part of you. Once it is part of you, it is you. Okay? So You may not yet understand your experiences, but you know they point to the fact that there's something beyond the ordinary states of consciousness. And that's on faith. So now let's read about love and joy. How about that? True love and joy cannot be found in the physical world. I'll repeat that again. True love, not the idea of love, not the sensation of love. It's talking about love, love that is God, cannot be found in the physical world. Upon reflection, one will see that the pursuit of happiness in the physical world, which one is taught to pursue from childhood, is a mistaken concept of reality. It's a relative reality. In other words, it's an illusion. Let's talk about that. Within our being, we have all kinds of desires that arise. Some of them are sensual because you see something you want it, because you hear something you want it, because you want to feel something you want it, because you want to feel something again you want it, right? You have a thought, you want it. You have a craving, you want it. And the nature of this, yeah, it is. And the nature of this is it's insatiable. This is not only a Kemetic yoga teaching, it's an Indian yoga teaching. Not only that, thank you, Taffy. It's a biblical teaching. It's all in all of these contexts, right? So the nature of desire is it's a never-ending well. It just keeps coming. The ideas keep coming, and the more open you are, the more it comes. And if you don't know what to do with the energy of desire, because there are things to do, right? Not things to get, things to do. If you don't know what to do with desire, then you're going to be led by it all of the time. And you're going to find that happiness is elusive. Anyone who has been chasing desire for a long time will discover that the pursuit of happiness really is an illusion. It's like a mirage. You see it in front of you, and if I could just get, and if I could just get, and then you get there, and then it becomes, if I can just get this, and then you get it, and then if I can just get this, and then you begin to fear losing what you just got, and it just turns into a lot of attachments. It turns into a lot of suffering. Desire is not bad. We need desire to manifest the life that we are living. But what we don't want to do, right, and then you have a bunch of stuff that you don't even use, stuff in the closet with the tag still on it. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just discussing the scenario. And what I am attempting to express is that none of this can create happiness, not true happiness, not long-lasting happiness. Happiness that comes in the moment, yes. If you want to be happy in the moment, by all means do so. But make sure that happiness that you're attaining is not degenerating your quality of existence. Make sure that the thing that you are obtaining is not becoming an attachment or an obsession. Make sure that the thing that you are obtaining does not become the source of happiness, because if it goes away, we live in a transient reality. Things come and go, everything ebbs and flows, everything vibrates, everything moves. We live in a transient reality, and if you think that thing is the source of your happiness, that person, that situation, then you're going to find that it is not a suitable source for longevity. And then what happens? Disappointment. Yeah, disappointment. You ever been so excited about something? It's new, you're full of hope about it, and you're not mindful. You get attached to it. Mostly you get attached to the idea. Yeah, Taffy. Pretty lady, you get it. You get attached to the idea of something. And then it's very hard to let that idea go because you have decided that this idea will bring me long lasting happiness or fulfillment or satisfaction. So when the thing doesn't happen or the thing goes away, there's this grief that must take place. And you think you're grieving the job, and you think you're grieving the house, you think you're grieving the car, you think you're grieving the relationship. But what you're really grieving is the idea that this is not my source of happiness. I thought it was, but it's not. And after you experience that enough times, you begin to enjoy what's here in the moment as it is. You begin to desire without attachments. You begin to manifest without attachments. You begin to realize that true happiness is understanding what you are. And then that, my friends, is contentment. It's more than a happy feeling. Like, oh, I'm so happy. And you ever been so happy, like feeling good, floating on cloud nine, and somebody come and say something, and you just feel all the happiness go zoop? Because we place so much emphasis on that temporary feeling. I love that temporary feeling. I'm not going to stop feeling it, but I'm also not going to let that illusion confuse me. Right. And it's when you experience the happiness and then another energy comes in and you begin to grieve. I was so happy I had this and now I did. Why is this happening? We can't flow with universal principles, ebbs and flows, because we are attached to keeping things one way. It's not going to be one way. Although I wish it was. Listen, in my astrology, I'm an Aquarius stellium. That means I got a lot of fixedness in me, right? So I want things to be steady. I want things to be stable. But I know that that's not the nature of this reality. So I'm not going to let my blueprint pull me into an illusion such that when something goes away or something it transitions into something else, I'm not going to fall apart. I'm going to feel what I feel. I'm going to grieve, but I'm not going to fall apart because I understand that this is the nature of where we're living. We live in a finite reality here in this density as humans. And that means we are in constant fluctuation of energy. And those that can be flexible, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, are going to be able to adjust well and with more flow. And those who are rigid and they only see things one way and they can only see things one way, those people are going to experience lots of suffering. But change is going to take place regardless. So you can choose how you experience it. You can choose to go with the flow, go through your grief, go through your emotions, alchemize it, and come out in an evolved manner, or you can stay in it and feel bitter and play around in that. You can stay in it and feel resentful and play around in that because that's your right. You can choose it. You can stay in and tell all kinds of narratives that are not true, but they make you feel better. So you could stay there and do that. But if you want to evolve, you're going to have to apply universal truth. And universal truth is not coinciding with pain. It's coinciding with peace, right? And you know when you're really in peace when you're talking. Because if you're talking from resentment, you feel contracted. But if you're talking from evolution, you feel expansive. You got to self evaluate and you got to decide how you want to go through this transient reality that we call Earth. It's the truth, right? Let me know if that made sense. Tap the screen and tap yes if it made sense. We got to self evaluate, right? Nobody is all in zen and peace. That's not even human. You would be some kind of clone, some kind of robot if you were only always happy. Only you would not be experiencing your full range of emotions as a human. We should call you a robot if you're only always in love and light. But we are here to experience the full spectrum of humanity. That's the reason that we came. It's called evolution. And everything that we feel, whether it feels good or whether we decide it does not feel good, every feeling leads to an inner stance. And when we understand, overstand our inner stance, then we become more divine. You got to self evaluate, and you got to be able to say, I'm angry right now. Because some stuff needs to generate the energy, activate. Now, notice I didn't say some things need to make you angry. Yeah, I didn't say that. I said some things activate the energy of anger in you. That needs to happen. Anger is telling you something. It's telling you that you may feel threatened or something important to you feels threatened. It may tell you that you feel like you need to protect or put up boundaries or whatever it is. So, do we just feel the emotion and go on it? No. We feel the emotion, we perceive it, we can name it, right? And if you don't know how to name your emotions, I suggest you conduct a study of emotions. Learn emotional words. For example, you can feel angry, but there's levels to it. There's rage, there's irritation, there's frustration. All of that could be in the family of anger. So it's not enough to say, I'm mad, I feel some kind of way. If you want a deep understanding of self, then you would find what vibration of anger you're on inside and name it. Now, why am I feeling angry? What is activating this in me? Well, the thing outside activated it from outside, but what is activating it from inside is a perspective that you have. It's a belief that you have. Your next step is to discover, is this belief consistent with universal truth and divine principles? Or is this belief system inside of me born from my past pain? Is this experience I'm having inside of me, is it a result of fear? This experience that I'm having inside of me, is it a result of untruth? And if so, what is universally true about this so that I can restore myself in the natural flow of life and the universe and the cosmos, right? Is grief a form of anger? Some people may debate this, so it's debatable, but I would say grief is a form of sadness. That's what I would say. And there are different forms of sadness. There's distress, right? There's sad, there's depression, there's grief, right? I am grieving. Grief is not only an emotion, it is a process. So, why do you think we have the ability to feel, to perceive these wide range of emotions? Because they are important to our evolution. We came here for experiences. Now, some people don't like the experiences. And because they don't like the experiences, they like to blame other people. Oh, this other person was like this, and they did that, and they did, and they did. But you first have to do that, but then you realize, but I had this experience because I needed to learn this about myself. I had this experience because I needed to see this about myself. I had this experience, and it's not always bad things. Sometimes you have that experience so you can understand your depth of love, how deep you love. Sometimes you have the experience so that you can see how far you have come. Sometimes you have the experience so you can see what needs to be shifted so you can move to your next level. Sometimes you have the experience so you can see, oh, this is a pattern. I be doing this. I want to come out of it. Sometimes you have the experience because it's showing you the greater in you. Sometimes you have the experience with beautiful souls because it's showing you your beauty inside and you may not see it all the way because you're you. There are many reasons we have experiences. Greetings, 64. And so what I am saying is our emotional landscape is part of our evolution. We need it. So going back to wanting things to be the same all the time, we want to be happy and we want to stay happy. But the principle of vibration, the principle of rhythm, the principle of cause and effect, all of that, the principle of polarity, all of those tell us that you're not going to be that all the time. But how you experience your experiences depends on your level of consciousness. So let's say you up on the mountaintop, you happy, you thrilled, life is lit for you. You're so grateful. You're in so much gratitude. You got to know that that's going to fluctuate. Because if you don't know that, when it fluctuates, you're going to be clinging. But I was so happy. But I had this. But I had that. And I know you're going to cling and create suffering. But if you understand universal principles, then you're going to be able to grieve through the process, right? And become greater. And you're going to elevate from it. You're going to be on a mountaintop sometimes. And sometimes you're going to need to visit the valley. And the valley is not a bad experience unless you make it, right? If you cling to the mountaintop that you were on, then you're going to make the valley experience such a contrast that it's going to be downright painful. Is this making sense? You create that. See, we have the fluctuations, the pendulum swings, right? But our task is to remain steady, understanding that it's not always going to be like this. There's a scripture that says, this too shall pass, and it's true. Universal principles support it. And when we grow in understanding, we realize that relationships build, and they have an ebb. People come and they go. There's cycles of giving and receiving. There's cycles of life and transition. There's cycles of rain and evaporation and condensation and evaporation. These are cycles of life. 222. Knowing that these are but cycles, right? We can plug into the cycles, and that's why I love teaching and talking from the dream spell matrix, because that whole matrix is cycles within cycles within cycles within cycles. And if I understand that this is the cycle that is coding this 13 days, then I know it's going to shift in another 13 days, so I can work with this. If I know that this season of 52 days is this, then I can work with that until the 52 days are up, and then I can shift with the tide. You see, all of these principles, all of these divine laws, all of these divine truths are here to help us be in our creative capacity as God in the human form. Ashe, does that make sense? On patience, perseverance, and forgiveness. This is what we're about to tap into next. Hey, Kim. Patience, perseverance, and forgiveness. Let me talk about forgiveness real quick. So yesterday, I was talking to Galactic Empress. Y'all know that's my really good friend. And we were talking about forgiveness. And we were discussing like some really hurtful situations that we recently worked through. And the final piece is the forgiveness. You know, my background is Christianity. So in Christianity, they tell you that the first step is forgiveness. That's not what I think. The first step is acknowledging that you are hurting. The first step is acknowledging that something happened. The first step is acknowledging, like all that is the first steps, right? But I can name it 1, 2, 3, whatever. The first step is understanding this happened and it mattered. The first step is understanding that this happened and my inner reality shifted when this happened. We need to look at all of that first before we'll be in a hurry. Oh, I forgive them. I release them. And, you know, we want to do it real quick because we like to spiritually bypass stuff. And the New Age people tell you that you don't forgive for the other person, you forgive for you, which is true. So you're trying to hurry along through the process without understanding, not understanding that the way this shifted your inner reality needs to be recalibrated. You need to recalibrate. Or you're going to move forward with the shifts and create from the shifts rather than creating from your higher self. Tell me if that makes sense. Because I be saying a lot and I be understanding what I'm saying. But I want to know, do you understand what I'm saying? I was talking about forgiveness and how our Galactic Empress and I have been discussing forgiveness, right? There's a whole process. Hmm. I laid this process out in my first ebook. It's called Self Intimacy, A Beginner's Guide to Self Discovery. And I lead you through self understanding, self acknowledgement, and integration, right? So I know that she and I had been talking about these scenarios for some of them for years. We've been working through. Every round goes deeper and deeper, higher and higher, right? You think you're over something, and then another layer comes up. And that's why I never say, oh, yeah, I'm healed from that. Anybody who says that doesn't understand the nature of their subconscious, because at any given moment something can float up from your unconsciousness and you'll be like, dang, I didn't know that was there. So stop thinking you know everything in your subconscious. You don't. And furthermore, when you're getting to know other people and you think you got them together and you know them, don't be so overly ambitious. There's so much depth and layers of the human being. Don't take for granted that you can know it. You know some things about the person. You're learning more things about the person, but you don't know the person. The person don't even really know themselves. When you don't know what's in your subconscious, you be surprising yourself. Tell the truth. You thought you were over something, or you thought you didn't think something, and then the situation happens and you find yourself in it. Like, dang, how I got here? Because that vibration is in your subconscious and it happens so you could see that. And it's going to keep happening so you can see. It's not happening because you're being tested. The divine has no reason to see if you're still going to make the same decision. God is omnipotent and omnipresent. So why you acting like God have to see a situational thing case by case to see if you still going to make the same decision? It's not that. This is opportunities for evolution. Here's the opportunity. We can personify this and be like, oh, spirit is trying to see. Ancestors are trying to see. They're not trying to see nothing. They live in the spiritual realm. You're the only one with this localized consciousness. So you need to be trying to see that this is in front of you again, right? And ask, what more do I need to know? What more do I need to see, right? You're the one who needs to see. And I really don't like when people say stuff like, "Spirit, send that to see if you still stupid." Why you speak in such self-depreciating energies? Why would you do that to yourself? Why? God is not doing that. That's you. God doesn't think you're stupid because God has no ability to think like that. You think like that. You pick up this vibration from living in this reality. You think omnipotent God, omniscient God is sitting there saying, let me see if they're going to be stupid again. You know, I think that comes from the book of Job. The book of Job is written in this story form so we can understand. Not because God is really sitting there saying, have you considered my servant Job? That's not what's happening. You know, it reminds me like when Christ was called into question. Yeah, I don't like it either. When Christ was called into question, Pontius Pilate asked him, they saying you a king. And Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world. I'm not even talking about that. And this is how people take mythology and scriptures and such. They take it so literally. Like God is sitting there discussing with some being called the devil and saying, here, I offer up my servant Job. That's not the idea. It's spiritual. It's a spiritual reality. Okay, so these three ideas are important since the road is long, and only those who can endure will attain the coveted goal. Engaging the process of your spiritual discipline, do not, that's in capital letters, Do not judge yourself on the basis of if you have had a good meditation, or if you are able to understand all the teachings, or if you have acted wrongly. This is a spiritual teaching. So the spiritual teaching is saying, do not judge yourself on some kind of human standard. Oh man, I did bad. I'm not spiritual. Oh man, I said that. I'm not good. Oh man, I got into this scenario. I'm not who I think I am. This teaching is saying, don't do that. That's ignorance. And don't do that to other people. Oh, I thought she was Miss Such and Such and she went and did this. Stop that. We are all here to evolve, and we are all on our life path. And the life path is laid out for us, and we can choose when we turn right and when we turn left. And we can choose if we walk fast or slow. We can choose if we take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. We can choose it, but the path is still laid out. We can choose what we build on the path. We can choose what more experiences we might want to have. They're all needed. Do not, capital letters, do not judge yourself on the basis of whether or not you had a good meditation. Oh man, my yoga session, it didn't work out like yesterday. I want to be like, don't do that. Oh man, I'm a bad mom. I'm a bad wife. I'm a bad girlfriend. I'm a bad this. Oh, I feel like a bad daughter. I'm a bad. You're not. Stop judging yourself based upon that. Hey, Mystique. This idea of being good. I was walking. I was running an errand today, and I've been working on this idea for a long while, but it's sat down in me differently today, more deeply. I said, I don't want to be a good anything. I just want to be it. That's it. And am I saying I don't want people to think I'm a good something? No, I'm talking about me, right? Got to be more careful. I don't have the desire to be a good thing. I have a desire to be the thing. And in doing so, I move around accordingly. What does that look like? Let's talk about motherhood, because this is the other day I was having some discussions with my children, and I sat down and I was just having this feeling, and I said, what is this I'm feeling? And the words came up, I don't feel like I'm a good mom. Now, of my oldest is 21. Is he 21 or 22? Lord have mercy. He's making 22 this year, so he's 21. My oldest is 21. Hey, Goddess Infusion. My middle is 18. My twins are 15. So off of that one situation, you mean to tell me I'm gonna sit there and judge I'm not a good mom? But we be doing stuff like that. You'll do so well at your job, and you'll run late one day, 2 days, and then you'll go, oh man, I just feel so bad. I should have did better. I should have did better. It sounds like that. Stop doing that. Stop doing it. Breathe. I'm having this experience, and it's not the way that I wanted it to go. However, it's happening. Now, what do I need to see? Hey, Timor, to Morello. What do I need to see that I don't see already? What do I need to hear that I don't hear already? What do I need to know that I don't know already? What do I need to feel that I don't feel already? What do I need to remember that I don't remember already? What old thing do I need to see in new ways? What old thing do I need to hear in new ways? That's when you're really getting it. What old thing do I need to put a new perspective on? Right? Instead of dwelling down, oh, I'm lagging. Am I lagging? Instead of dwelling in the ego, which is the vibration that's pulling you down, you feel it pulling you down, right? Confirmation is pulling you down. You want to ascend. So you ascend by asking those questions. You don't want to be pulled down into the ego realm of I'm bad. I'm not good. I failed. That's the realm of the Ka. You do not live there. You live in the realm of the Ba, which is part of the universal all is one. That's where you are. But your Ka is associated with this brain and this body. And sometimes you think that that's who you are. No, that's not who you are. That's part of your experience here as being a human. It's part of your experience of being a human. You came here for experiences. And believe me, we judge experiences as good, bad, or whatever based upon our conditioning, based upon our tolerance, our capacities, what season we're in, blah, blah, blah. Something could be really awful in one season, and then the next season it's like a piece of cake. So how we experience this is very subjective. So when you were deciding to come here, however that happened, you were not sitting there saying, I don't want to be in pain. I don't want nobody to leave me. I don't want to lose no job. I don't want to experience any kind of lack. You weren't saying that. You understood and not understand in the way that your brain understands. And you know how I know this? Because you were part of the all mind. We all were. And the all mind is omniscient. So the all mind didn't go, I don't want to experience that. So this is a mistake. Beam me back up, Scotty. That's not what happened. You came here for a full human experience. The path was laid out. Do not judge yourself on the basis of if you've had a good meditation or good behavior or good choices. Don't do that. Don't judge yourself on whether or not you can understand all the teachings. You're not going to understand all the teachings. None of us sit all the way in teachings and understand every bit of it. That's why we need to sit and meditate. You need to come inside yourself and go, okay, she said this. I want to feel into this. What could that look like? What could that feel like? She gave an example. It was like this. How can I apply it to my situation? Right now, I'm talking about meditating on, chewing on what you're given. I'm not talking about meditating and going into the void. I'm talking about ruminating and chewing and digesting. This is what you need to do when you have teachings, not just sit there and go, yeah, that's good. And you walk away and you return to the same vibration. And then you wonder and you say stuff like this, I know better. I knew better. I knew better. You gotta chew this food up real good. Yeah. Your mind creates this reality. If you let it, yes. There will be ups and downs in your psychological journey. Sometimes you may stop and wonder if you are doing the right thing and if the way you feel is normal. Let's talk about intuition. Your intuition is not always leading you into the most comfortable situation. It's not. If y'all were on my live days ago, I was telling you about how my higher self told me go apply at the gym and what that was like. It was very uncomfortable. It was very much given, I can't do this. It was very uncomfortable. Your intuition will have you sitting and waiting when you want to go. Your intuition will have you going when you want to wait. Your situation will have you go to another job and then you be like, dang, I want to go back to my old job. That was better. No, it's forward moving. Your intuition is not always leading you into comfort. You think your intuition is going to lead you into the everlasting relationship, the everlasting job, the everlasting situation. It's not. You're being led through evolution. Ashe? And so you're going to experience the vibrations that you came here to experience. But the thing is, you get to choose how you experience them. You get to choose and how you describe them. You could describe a thing as the worst thing in the world. Thank you for the follow. You could be like, oh, this is the worst thing in the world. Or you could be like, you know what? I didn't sign up for this, but it's here. So let me see how I can enhance my existence while this is happening. You could choose. Hey, Lori. And I'm not saying that it's easy, because you got to fortify your mind to begin to choose like this. You got to fortify. You got to purify. You got to digest teachings like this and get around people who live like this and who think like this and talk like this. You got to meditate, chew it up. You got to sit and digest it and read it over and over again and write about it and take it in your ear gates and your eye gates. And you have to separate yourself from that which is the opposite whenever you can, right? There's some stuff that I've built myself into that I'm not interested in regressing. So I'm just not going to take it in. And you could call it whatever you want to call it, but I do too much work, too much self-reflection, too much shifting, too much alchemizing within my being to sit there and take in something that's not for me. It's not for me. I don't have to absorb it. My coach made a post today. Let me read it. Because it's on this topic. Felt, right? Hold on, let me pull it up. Y'all feeling this? Is it feeding you? Is it spiritual food? Okay, now listen to this, okay? Jealousy. It's on jealousy, but we could put any lower vibration experience here, okay? Jealousy usually arises when we remind people of what they are not to themselves. I'm going to read that again. Jealousy usually arises when we remind people of what they are not to themselves. A person is feeling jealous because they're feeling not enough. And what you're doing is causing them to become aware that they feel like they're not enough. Intimidation arises when we remind people of what they are not to themselves. They may not feel comfortable in speaking. And so they may feel intimidated because they realize that I am not feeling confident. This is how we internalize our experiences to evolve. So they project it on you. Yes. But if you want to evolve, you got to stop doing that. Now I'm talking to the people who project, because we all project. But you got to realize and recognize I'm projecting right now because I really feel insecure. I'm projecting right now because I really feel uncomfortable. I'm projecting right now because I don't have the proper thing to say. I'm projecting right now. That's spiritual maturity. But a lack of spiritual maturity is saying they're intimidating. They made me feel jealous. Can you feel the difference? One is not being all the way true to self. They made me feel jealous. They made me feel small. They did this to me. As opposed to when this happened, I felt this because I realized within myself that I am not, or I am, but I realized that right, one is self-accountability. Now, am I saying that people never do wrong things? That's not what I'm saying. No, people do wrong things. But when you abandon your power seat and start blaming, they did this to me and I had to do this and now I have to change and I have to do this and you abandon your power seat. The mirror. right? And we have to stop and go, okay, so let's say this, pretty lady. I've put myself in spaces with people, and I didn't feel comfortable all the way with where I was. And so I tried to make myself comfortable by getting smaller, blaming this powerlessness. I tried to make myself more comfortable by folding in. I tried to make myself more comfortable by dimming my light, because when my light was shining, I was feeling uncomfortable, because when they had an opinion, I felt uncomfortable. When they said I was too much, I felt uncomfortable. And because I felt uncomfortable, I wanted to reduce my discomfort by folding in. But the truth is, when I folded in, I became even more uncomfortable, because then I began to collapse upon myself. That puts you back in your power seat. You allow things because you're trying to become more comfortable. You got to understand that. Something is uncomfortable. You don't like their reaction. You don't like how you feel when you speak up, or you don't like how you feel when they react. You feel uncomfortable, and you act to reduce the discomfort that you have within yourself. So if you say to yourself, I am no longer going to feel uncomfortable when people have a different opinion of me. I am no longer going to feel uncomfortable when people don't like what I am saying. I'm not going to judge my comfort by whether or not other people are accepting or not of my behavior. I'm going to understand myself. I'm going to sit in my power seat and let my yay be yay and my nay be nay. They're going to call it what they want to call it. And I'm going to live my life and continue to create, because there are like-minded individuals who do the same thing. And I want to be around that. Hey, Wild Flow. And I want to be around that. There will be ups and downs. Is this making sense? There will be ups and downs in this life. I've had some experiences you could not have told me in my wildest dreams that I would be experiencing that. I've had some experiences, right? I've had some mountaintop experiences too. And I've had everything in between. And so have you. And that's normal. There will be ups and downs in your psychological journeys. Sometimes you may stop and wonder if you are doing the right thing and if the way you feel is normal. You're going to wonder that. That's normal. If at all, judgment of one's progress on the spiritual path should be based upon one's emotional detachment to worldly objects, including people. Let me stop right there. You're not going to judge your growth on how well you behaved and how well you managed your emotions. That's not an indicator of growth. An indicator of growth is seeing how you, with every situation, more quickly readjust to universal principles and resolve your conflict within. That's growth. You got to resolve the conflict and recalibrate to universal principles. Resolve the conflict, recalibrate to universal principles. The more you do that, the more you're going to notice your growth. But don't take it on a case by case basis, because that's an illusion, right? So let's say you feel real good right now and you're making the best decisions. You're saying no, you're saying yes, you're setting boundaries, you're on a roll. But then 2 weeks from now, a situation presents itself and you find yourself doing the very thing that you said you were not going to do. That's why you're not going to judge yourself on these individual decisions. Yes, celebrate it. Yes, absolutely. Acknowledge it. Absolutely. But do not judge your spiritual growth on a bad choice or a good choice. Don't use either. Apply spiritual principles. You know what? We have ups and downs in this life, and we're all here to evolve. This is what detachment can sound like. And we're all here to evolve. And yes, I did that. And yes, I got involved in that. right? But I'm working through to understand what vibration in me wanted to choose that. And I am recalibrating to universal truth. I'm recalibrating. I am recalibrating. I am re engineering. That's what I'm doing. That puts you back in the power seat. Do not judge your spiritual progress on whether or not you did good or bad. Don't. It says, if at all, like if you have to judge, like don't. But if at all, judgment of one's progress on spiritual path should be based on one's emotional detachment to worldly objects. In other words, your ability to stop clinging to what is happening and alchemize it. Are you willing to alchemize? Are you willing to shift? Or do you want to hang on to the limitation? Or do you want to hang on to the pain? Now, that's an indicator of spiritual process. This will allow you to experience inner peace and the ability to control your emotions and particularly anger. You will have to forgive yourself when you do not perform up to your expectation. Now, let's alchemize. I, I don't want to sit and stew and know low vibration. I don't want to because I know there's more. Because I know there's more. That's why I don't want to. See, when I thought I had to feel like that because I didn't have a choice, and I thought I had to do this because look at what happened to me, and I have to do this. When I thought that, then I sat in it. And I told the stories according to it. And I made choices according to it. But when I realized that there was another way, and I began to explore the other way, I no longer wanted to make decisions from pain. Hey, Keitha. I no longer wanted to make decisions from lack. I no longer want to make decisions from the pattern. I want to understand the pattern. And if by chance I slip into the pattern because it's subconscious, thank you, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to see. It's a matter of time, just a matter of time. Right? Inner peace does not come from things going your way. Because there's a lot of people who are experiencing things going their way and they're not in peace. Inner peace does not come from getting what you want. Because sometimes you could get what you want and still don't have inner peace. Inner peace comes from syncing yourself with universal principles. That's peace, because that aligns you with the universal bond, because that puts you in alignment with your divinity. That's what it does. Now, again, I'm not talking about spiritual bypassing. You don't want to feel bad, so you just think about good things. No, that's coping. Because remember, I just said you got to resolve your conflict and recalibrate. Resolve your conflict and recalibrate. What does that process look like? I put the process in my most recent book called, not my most recent book, my first book called Self-Intimacy. It's the Beginner's Guide to Self-Discovery. And I bring you through a process of self-acknowledgement, understanding, and integration. It's a step in the right direction. There's the whole process in there. You got to resolve your conflict and recalibrate, not spiritual bypass. Something happens to you, you feel angry. I'm not getting angry. Nope, I'm not going to be angry. I'm going to do this. All the while, you are experiencing the vibration of anger. You're in denial. That's spiritual bypassing, denying what you feel because you're afraid of saying it, or you don't want to look a particular way, or you think that you're claiming it because you're saying it. Listen, how do I want to put this? The thought process of don't say it, don't claim it. All right. Don't you know that people who cannot utter words can still claim things? So it's not that you said it that makes you claim it. It's that you believe it. That's what makes you claim it. And it has nothing to do with the words. Yes, you want to watch the words because your words are going in your ear. That's why you want to watch that. right? But this is not the same as denial. Let me give you an example. Let's say I feel the energy of depression. Let's say I feel the energy of depression. I could sit up here till the cows come home and deny my own experience. That's self abandonment. I could be like, I don't feel depressed. I feel happy. I feel good, knowing that inside I feel depressed. That's self abandonment. That's not looking spiritual. But if you say, within my system right now, I'm having a fluctuation and it feels like what we call depression, and I want to understand it more so I can come out of it, or I need some assistance. Now you're still describing what's going on without denying it, without spiritual bypassing it. And then you are putting a resolution into it as well. So we're not trying to, oh, don't say that, don't say that. No, because then you begin to fear your words. Now, we do need to be mindful of our words, right? But some people take this to an extreme. Why would I be mindful of my words? Because my words are going back in my ear and my cells are taking them in. That's why I'm going to mind my words. I'm not going to mind my words because I want you to think I'm spiritual. I'm not going to mind my words because I want you to think that I'm an upright citizen and operating in spirituality and love and light. I'm watching what I say because my cells are listening to it. So I want to make sure I am speaking in truth and accurately describing my experience and aligning it with universal truth at the same time. This is not putting on a spiritual mask. This is about learning how to be vulnerable in your spiritual walk with yourself. When you want to look spiritual, that means that you carry shame inside about how you really exist. That's how you be vulnerable with yourself. And if you know that you have shame, you could do something about it. But if you're in denial, no, I'm not ashamed. No, I'm not this. No, you can't do nothing with that. Can't do nothing with that. But when you know, yes, I feel some shame about where I am in my walk, then you can apply this because it said, don't judge yourself. Shame is coming because you're judging. Right. I have some anxiety passing through me. I'm experiencing the energy of what we call anxiety. Right now, my system is not what it normally is because some fear has come in, some worry has come in. So I'm looking at the fear, I'm looking at the worry, I'm looking at the concern. You have to forgive yourself when you do not perform to your expectations. Now, when some people say forgive, going back to that word, right, they mean forgiveness in a Christian sense. When this book is talking about forgiveness, and when I'm talking about forgiveness, I'm talking about the decision that I've already worked through this sufficiently, and I don't want to hold this against the person. I don't want to because I've worked through it already. Yes, 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 pretty lady. I've worked through this. I see different perspectives. I understand how I co created that. I understand what they did also and how it affected me. I understand how it is still affecting me. I'm addressing that. I'm ready to release the storyline I've been telling about this. I'm ready to apply some universal truth to this now. And in doing so, I release them from the role of the story because I release the story. I release the story. I release the narrative. Not I forgave the person. I release the narrative. So now I am walking in forgiveness. Can I tell you what that looks like? For example, let's say you think, going back to my conversation, I was talking about that earlier. I was having a conversation with Galactic Empress, and we have been working through some situations for a level number of years. And so we came to the conclusion yesterday that we're ready to release the stories. And I'm ready to tell a story a different way. I'm not denying what happened or the effect. It's just that I've evolved in my consciousness. I see the bigger picture of this. And I want to tell my evolution story now. I've told the hurt one already and worked through that. Now I want to tell my evolution oriented story. So that it no longer sounds like they did this, they said that, they did this, that hurt. That's a part of the process. You need to work through that. The next part is, and I'm not talking about spiritual bypassing again, I'm talking about reality, right? The reality is that there's going to be ups and downs. There will be ups and downs in this life. Here, I'm applying what I just read. I'm showing you an example of how you can apply this. I know and believe, I'm fully persuaded that we're going to have ups and downs in this life. Sometimes people are going to understand us, sometimes they're not. Sometimes people are going to appreciate us, sometimes they're not. Sometimes people are going to support us, sometimes they're not. Sometimes people are going to tell an accurate story, sometimes they're not. Sometimes people need to tell a story to feel a particular way, even if it's not true. And sometimes they're going to tell the truth. This is part of the reality. And I no longer want to be a slave to my own thought process that tells me that this should not be because the whole universe allows this to be. I don't want to struggle against the universe. The universe allows this to be. So I need to understand that this is part of my experience. And I don't want to keep telling the story of this wasn't supposed to be like this. It wasn't supposed to turn out like this. They wasn't supposed to do this. They talked bad about me. They said this. They did this. They walked away. They did. I don't want to do that anymore. It keeps you in a loop. I'm ready to release that narrative and receive the one that is true. What is true is things come and go. People come and go. And I really liked that experience. But I also know that I'm going to find something that I like even more so soon. Because the principle of rhythm tells me this is not the only time I'm going to be happy. This is not the only time I'm going to experience. This is not the only time I can create. I can do it again. I now learned such and such about myself. I now see that I can make good decisions and I plan to. Listen, emotional detachment is not to be confused with adopting a non-caring attitude. Even, yeah. Because grief is human, it's healthy. We must let go of our attachments. That's the grief. I was attached to a certain future. I was attached to a certain vision. So much so that it's hard to release it, but I'm going to release it. That wasn't reality. That was my hope, and my hope is beautiful. But also, it wasn't reality. Also, it wasn't supposed to go that way. And so I want to put myself more in alignment with universal truth. Yes, I wanted that, but it wasn't supposed to go like that. So I got to breathe and release it and release the stories I've built around it. Hope is a beautiful thing, right? We're not talking about a non-caring attitude. We're not talking about alienation of others or isolation or spiritual separation from the world. That's not detachment. One must try one's best to perform one's duties, in other words, operate with other people, while separating oneself from the actions. That's a big one. I'm wrapping this teaching up. When I first started homeschooling, I knew that I didn't want to be the type of mother who was going to yell and scream all day long. We were about to be around each other 24/7, and I wanted to create a peaceful environment. But I knew I didn't grow up in a peaceful environment. And I knew that the result inside of me was rather tumultuous. So I was going to have to shift my whole inner reality. Part of that shifting involved understanding the difference between character and behavior, and also how they go hand in hand. Okay. If my heart is good toward you, but I act in a dismissive way one time because I was overwhelmed, that is not my character, but that is a part of the character I displayed in that moment. That is not part of my core belief system, but it did come out as part of my vibration. So I'm not a bad mother because I dismissed something because I was trying to gather myself. But now, if I keep dismissing over and over again, if that's my pattern, now I can say this is part of my core character. It's not just the character that was displayed in the given situation. That is part of my core character, and I need to change that. With my children, the application of this is that if my child is doing something that is against what I instructed, I'm not going to call them a bad child. I'm not going to say, oh, he's so bad. No, I'm going to say, this child did not listen. Separating character and behavior is important. Now, if the child keeps not listening, I'm still not going to say that child is bad. I'm not going to villainize the child for having a human experience, but I am going to address obedience and the importance of it. That's not villainizing the child. I learned to stop villainizing people, even when they're doing things I don't like. Even when they have done harmful things, I'm not going to villainize them. I'm going to address what happened. I'm going to say what happened. I'm going to acknowledge how what happened affected me. But it does not serve me to villainize the person. Oh, they a liar. No. Because they're a human having a human experience. But they did lie. And that lie had consequences. And I felt the energy of interacting with the lie. And that matters. But I'm not going to villainize them. Oh, they this and they're that. No. Because if I want to ascend, I can't judge myself and I should not judge other people. I am practicing detachment, which is not caring, but it's not clinging to low vibration. It's exposing my thoughts and my experience to higher vibration and moving with that until it's natural. Am I making sense? I'm wrapping up. Detachment and dispassion are mental disciplines. You got to have the ability to breathe and go, ooh, that hurt. You breathe and you cry, and you breathe and you fuss. And then one day you breathe in the truth. The truth is, this was not made to last. The truth is, it was not supposed to be. The truth is, it went this way, and this is the way it needed to be for my own evolution. And it hurts, and I'm going to grieve. But the truth is, right? That's detachment and dispassion. It happened, and it mattered. It happened, and it mattered. I'm not trying to say it didn't matter. All that happened, and it don't matter. I'm just going to, that's denial. What good would it do to give up all your possessions only to be upset later because you were not ready to give it all up or can't believe what you have done? Rather, develop a feeling of, I can take it or leave it. I will be the same with or without it. That's a big one. I will be the same with or without it. I will be okay with or without it. I might hurt, but I'm going to be okay. Might cry, but I'm going to be okay. I might grieve, but I'm going to be okay. I might miss a particular thing, but I'm going to be okay. That's detachment. And it is cautioning you to not be extreme. Have you ever got in a mood and you decided you were going to purge your closet, and you went through and you just was going to just get everything together? You're going to minimize everything or whatever. And then like a week later, you be like, I threw away such and such. Dang. Why I threw that away? Dang. I could... Right? So yesterday we cautioned against being extreme, but rather practicing step by step. This does not make me. This does not break me. This is an experience. I'm going to get through it. This is an experience. I'm going to keep walking forward. This is an experience that I'm going to learn from. That's detachment. This does not define me, although it is an experience I had, right, Lori? This does not make me a bad person. This does not even make them a bad person. Detachment is having a sober point of view, not going, oh, when you left, I lost a piece of me. That's not detachment. That's attachment. Now you think that your identity is fused with someone else's presence or absence. That's confusion. A piece of me died when such and such happened. Maybe a part of you went into extinction. Maybe so. But something else was born in its place. Because nothing goes into extinction without something else coming in. So yeah, maybe that version of yourself went into extinction. When that person left, you no longer had those experiences because you could no longer think that way and whatever. But now that this has happened, what new way is being born through me? What new self am I giving birth? Instead of sitting there pining away from the extinct part. Oh, a piece of me. Oh, you know, we get real dramatic. Oh, a piece of me. This hurts. I'm hurting because I'm changing and I'm shifting out of the vibration of powerlessness. And that feels uncomfortable. And I'm being called into a higher realm. And that can be uncomfortable because ideas are clashing and things are passing away and old things are becoming new. And that process can feel cataclysmic. And I gotta grip my heart sometimes and rock, but I'm being born, reborn. I know we be so dramatic. We really do. It'd be like, if I could just, like, right? Okay, listen, we be like that. We be doing it. It's part of our human experience, right? Okay, so let's continue. Let's see. The idea that my body is an instrument of God, which is the inner higher self, should be cultivated. I want to read that again. The idea that my body is an instrument of God or the divine. The divine is the inner higher self. My body is an instrument of my inner higher self. My body is an instrument of my inner higher self. My body is an instrument of my inner higher self. You need to tell yourself through every situation, every high and every low, my body is an instrument of my inner higher self. My body is an instrument that my divine plays. This should be cultivated. You should not cultivate the I'm a such and such. Don't tell me I'm not. Don't cultivate that. I am a man. I don't care if I look like a woman. Don't cultivate that. My body is a vessel of my experiences. And so what other people call that vessel is up to them. I'm not about to absorb that and take that into my system. And now I'm moving into an identity crisis. I'm going to remember that this body, I'm greater than this body. Understand that I am a vessel of God and my ego is a changeable illusion. My ego is a changeable illusion. My ego is a changeable illusion. It's not reality. If it can change, it's not reality. If it's subjective, it's not reality. It is a reality that you experience but it is not ultimate reality. My ego is a changeable illusion. So why am I going to spend my time defending a changeable illusion? Why? Because maybe I was good today and maybe I'm going to be bad tomorrow and I'm going to be better after that because I'm going to bounce back. It's changeable. It fluctuates. I'm not about to put a lot of emphasis on the way that is perceiving my ego. People are perceiving my ego, right? I'm an instrument of my higher self. That's what I am. And nobody can tell you that you're not. I'm an instrument of my higher self. What are you? You are the divine in a human body. What are you? My body is an instrument of my divine self. My body, what is it? It's an instrument. It's not you. It's an instrument. It's not you. It's an instrument. Now, you need to fine tune your instrument. You need to take care of your instrument, right? What happens if you have a piano and you let dust develop all between the keys? The keys start sticking. You haven't taken care of your instrument. What happens if you have a guitar and you do not tune it and you don't replace the strings? It's not going to play what you want it to play. Your body is an instrument of your of your higher self. Your body is a vessel of God. You carry around the divine essence of God. You must tune your instrument. This is the thought process you need. My ego is a changeable illusion. It's not who I am. Further understand, I am one with the nature and Netcheru. I am one with the Almighty. I used to play the viola and I would have to write. So you can't just put the viola in the closet, let it sit there for 10 years and pull it out and think you're about to play some perfect notes. You're not. You're fooling yourself if you think so. And you're going to find out that you're fooling yourself when you go play it and you're like, what in the world is happening? Hey, Chris, listen, I am one with God. I am one with God, and my body is an instrument. Good teaching is resonating, huh, Chris? Yes. In this manner, if a project fails or succeeds, you remain as before. You're unchanged. Your ego is changed, but you are unchanged. That's why, I don't be asking. I say this all the time. I'm never asking, who are you? Because that can change. Today, you can think you're the scum of the earth, and tomorrow you can think you're the best thing since sliced bread. I'm not worried about if you know who you are today. I want to know, do you know who you are within? Right? Because that's going to determine how you interpret things. That's going to determine how you experience things. That's going to determine how you relate with me. Because if you think that you are your ego, then you're going to think I am my ego also. And then we're going to have battle of the egos. But if you know that you are God and you know that I am God, then we're going to interact like God interacts with God. Not how ego interacts with ego. Ego interacting with ego is defensiveness. Come on, Pastor. If you relate through your ego, you fussing. You're fussing about what's right and perspectives. If you're related on the level of the ego because you don't know that you're not your ego, you're going to be calling me things that I'm not. And I'm going to be calling you things that you're not because I can't see, because I'm on the egoic level. But if I come from my higher self and I know that I'm God, I'm going to approach you differently. And our conversations are going to go differently. When I bring something up to you, you're not going to flex and be defensive. You're going to say, let me ask you, you're going to start talking. You're going to get interested. But if you're relating on the level of your ego, you're going to get offended and you're not going to be able to have the conversation. You're going to ask questions because you don't feel threatened by someone's opinion. You could say to me, Veronica, I feel like you were being impatient with me this morning. My children tell me stuff like that. I feel you were being very impatient with me. What? No, I wasn't. It's you. I could do all that. And I'd be like, can you give me an example of when I was being impatient? What was going on? And then I can think about it and reflect and go, I was impatient. Yeah. And here's what was going on inside of my mind. Inside of my mind, I was feeling overwhelmed and I didn't realize it was coming out like that. What were you trying to tell me? That's having a conversation, knowing that you're not synonymous with someone else's opinion or experience. And there's levels to it. And we go deeper and deeper on the levels, right? Let me know if that makes sense. If we want, hey, Aristotle, if we want elevated experiences with one another, you're going to have to stop relating on the level of the ego. And you can always tell what the ego sounds like. It sounds resentful. It sounds, I got to take care of myself and I got to depend on me because I can't depend on nobody. That's what the ego sounds like. The ego sounds like, oh my God, I can't believe you feel that about me. How can you? That's the ego. But yeah. But when you realize that there's more to life than that, you can say, I'm hurt in my ego, right? But I'm greater than my ego. So let me ask you these questions. I'm not my ego. Yeah, my ego feels hurt. I could look at that because I really wanted to be good at this. And to hear that I wasn't doing that well, it hits my ego, but I'm greater than my ego because I want to evolve. So now, where can I do better? In this manner, if the project fails or succeeds, hey, the one that counted out, you will always remain as before, calm, hey, beside, at peace, and in control. Whenever your ego is hit and you dwell on it and you start vibrating on the level of that ka, you're not going to be in control. You're going to intensify. You're going to keep thinking about it. Oh my God, I can't. And it's going to get more and more intense. And then you're going to be acting. That's how it works. We're humans. That's how it works. You start feeding that with your attention, then it doesn't matter what your intention is. You're going to have an outburst. It's just how it is. Okay? You will remain as before, calm, at peace, and in control, as is the observing Ba, which is who you really are anyway. You're not the part that's hurt. That is a part of you. But right now, the you that I'm talking about is your Ba, your higher self, your divine nature. That's what you are. And you have a vessel called a body, and you have a servant called the ego. And when the ego begins to serve, then you start thinking that you're the ego. And so when people have an opinion or an idea, you start feeling hurt and you get defensive and you want to say all of these things that you say. But when you come into your Ba existence, this is who you are. You observe your ego having the experience. You observe yourself feeling hurt. You observe yourself saying what you're saying. And then you sit back and you go, okay, what is really going on? Give me a person that is like that with themselves all day long, because they're going to be like that with me all day long. Let's breathe. This is a lot going on between us. But we are greater than this. So let's try to understand it and take the blinders off. What part of my ego is bruised, and where am I identifying with my ego in this conversation with you? Where is that happening? And if I see where it's happening, I can validate it. Like, I'm having a real experience here, but I'm not confused. So I don't want to fuss and fight over, you said this, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. I want to really get down to what's exactly going on. What is this energy between us? Is it distrust? Is it insecurity? Is it jealousy? Is it because we need to cultivate something more? Is it because we've been going about things the wrong way? Is there a new way? Is it because what we're saying and how we've been talking about this is not serving us? What do we need to shift? Let me know what you think, okay? Eventually, through sustained effort, it will require no thinking, and you will develop strength of will to do what is ma'at, trust, justice, and righteousness. You will begin to act consciously. You will be aware of everything one does, and every motivating thought that has come to one's mind, and one will know which thoughts are righteous and which thoughts are not. We're talking about the ability to self-reflect. I'm not talking about become aware. A lot of people are aware that they do this or that, but they're still identified with it. I'm talking about higher level awareness where you realize, yes, I feel this. Yes, this is going on, but this is not me. And since this is not me, what is it that I need to understand from my Ba perspective? What am I not getting? What do I need to see now? What do I need to hear now? I like to ask people that question, what am I missing? Right? Because we're going back into this conversation. Tell me what I'm missing. This is what I think you said. Now tell me if I'm wrong. And if so, what is accurate? Are you willing to admit that everything you feel is not true? Yes, I feel like you did that on purpose, but I'm not confused. Just because I feel like you did that on purpose doesn't mean you did. So can you tell me what thought process you were having when you did X, Y, and Z? I've had people say to me in coaching and in everyday life, I know it's not true. That's what I feel. Okay, we got the distinction. Now, since you know there is a distinction or a possibility of a difference between what you feel and what is true, how open are you to what is true? Or are you clinging to what you feel is true, even though you know that's possibly not true? How open are you to truth? How needful is it that you cling? Because if you need to cling a little bit longer, I get it, because we're all on our journey. But if you need to cling to this perspective, I must say no thank you, because I don't need to cling to it because I know it's not true. And if you are open to discover what is true, are you willing to receive it? Or is it going to sit on the outside of your psyche while you believe what you feel, even though you're receiving what's true? There's levels and layers to this. Can you see that? I always like to ask people, how important is it that you keep this idea? Because if it's really important, I'm not trying to take it away from you. If it's serving you in some kind of way, I'm not trying to take it away from you, but I will say that because I don't resonate with it, I need to move a certain way because of that. I'm not, while you feel this, I allow it. I also know this, and I want to navigate according to truth. Aristotle, what you say? You say, wow. One will learn. One will learn to tell the difference between real and unreal. That's maturity. You must grow to learn the difference between what is true and what is not. A person who doesn't know what is true is living in an illusion, and everything they see inside of that illusion is an illusion and not the actual thing. Does that make sense? I'm going to wait and see. You must learn to tell the difference between what is true and what is not. You must distinguish between what you feel and what is true. My children can feel like I don't love them, but that's not true. They may be looking at something that we need to talk about. Now, if they need to cling, my mama don't love me, my mama don't love me, my mama don't love me, then they're going to grow up with that when it's not even true. Am I making it clear? You must learn to tell the difference between what is true and what is not. What is not true is they made you feel small. What is true is that you have something going on inside of you that feels small. And when someone outside activates it, you become aware of it. And I need to do something about that. What's making me feel small here inside of me? What thought process is supporting this? I'm not going to blame and be like, you. I'm going to say, I'm feeling small. That's my experience. Something in me is interpreting this situation as small. One time, this was during my marriage. Feelings are ever changing, yes. This was in my marriage. So I'm going to tell you about myself. I got married when I was 28. And even though I was 28, my mind was not mature in no kind of way. Okay? I probably had the mind of a 16-year-old, if that. And that's most people. In fact, psychology tells us that most people, their emotional maturity is on the level of age 9. Most people. Okay. So by the time I was 28, I probably was operating from a 16-year-old level mind. And so I used to say this all the time. The person would do something, the person I was married to, and I would say, you think I'm stupid. You think I'm stupid, but I'm not stupid. And one day he said, no, you think you're stupid. Oh, I was mad. Oh my God. No, you, because you, ha, ha, ha. I went off. I was real attached to that. Ocean and Prince. Went insane. No, you, because if you didn't think I was stupid, you, dot, dot, dot. And he refused to feed into it. And I sat on that thing. He said, I think I'm stupid. He just didn't want to hear what I had to say because he don't want nobody telling him nothing. No, I'm not stupid. And then I called my friend. And he said, this is my girl. What? No, he think you stupid. That's why he said that. He's a narcissist. He was trying to tear you down. Really, Lori, it's true, right? I done resorted to calling him a narcissist. He was trying to tear me down. He was trying to plant seeds and make me not feel like I'm that person. He was trying to. He was telling the truth. He was telling the truth that I could not see about myself. One time, I was fussing and I was like, and you trying to control me, but you can't control me because I'm grown, I'm an adult, da 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 da. He said, I'm not controlling you. You can make any decision that you want to. See, you want to be sarcastic. You want to be petty. He's a narcissist, right? He's a narcissist because he's telling me the truth and I don't like it. It's the fear that hurts. Yeah, it's the fear that hurts. So I went around for a long while saying he tried to control me. He tried to control me. He tried to control me. But one day I woke up. But I sat, going back to the, you think I'm stupid, I sat with that. I called my friends. I even told my prayer group, I am married to a narcissist. And we're going to have to pray. I'm in denial the whole time. I can't see the mirror he held up in front of me. That was the greatest act of love. To see, you think you're stupid. So I call the act of love and honesty narcissistic and control. You telling me how I see myself. No, I don't. I'm confident. I know I'm confident. So I sat with that for a while. And I asked myself, I had to gain the courage to ask myself, do I think I'm stupid? And maybe I don't need to use the word stupid. Do I feel less than? Do I feel inferior? And the answer was yes, I do. So then I asked myself, why do you feel inferior? Why do you feel inferior? So let me tell you what else I said before I go there. So he's a very educated man, very smart, very savvy, very intelligent, right? And he has multiple degrees. Even though at that time, because I was 28, 29 at that time, I went through college, but I resigned in my senior year, right? And that followed me for a long time because I was told that I was falling beneath the standard, right? I was told that I fell beneath the standard. I didn't finish, right? So I had absorbed that and I didn't know. So when he would start talking a certain way, my insecurity would come up. When he would start being in his honesty, my insecurity would come up. When he would be expressing his truth, my insecurity would come up and I would say, you think I'm stupid. But what I was projecting is I feel less than. I would tell him, I would say, you think because you have all these degrees that you're smarter than this one. And now he could be talking about somebody at work and I'm going to bring that up. And he could be talking about his family and I'm going to bring that up. Why? Because I'm projecting. I'm identifying with something that I think is outside, but it's really inside. I felt less than. So he was telling me the truth. No, you feel inferior. Because I wouldn't have married you if I felt you were inferior to me. That was real. So then I had to go back and rework that narrative that I put in there, that he was a narcissist and he thinks I'm stupid and he tried to control me and he tried to plant seeds and he tried to tear me down. I had to go in and rework all of that. That man was not a narcissist and he was not trying to control me. When he said, you can make any decision you want right now. I'm not controlling you. On the inside, I felt controlled. What was I feeling controlled by? My own judgment was controlling me. My own fear was controlling me and causing me not to do things I really wanted to do. And I said it was him. I feared that if I told him what I really wanted, he would judge me. That was controlling me because then I wasn't saying what I wanted to say. But I said it was him. And he told the truth again. You can make any decision you want to right now. I'm not controlling you. I thought he was belittling me. Reality looks different according to your level of consciousness. When I was 28, 29 in low consciousness, someone holding the mirror up to me in honesty so I could see myself was a narcissist. Someone telling me that you are the creator of your reality. I'm not controlling you at all. You can make any decision you want to, was controlling me. But one day I grew to realize that my fear was the control mechanism. The ignorance of I didn't know what I was. I was heavily identified with my ego and accomplishments and success and failures. I had some growing to do. And when you have growing to do, you will look out of a distorted lens and call something a thing that it's not. Now I'm 48, 20 years later. I can see that clearly. L, 100%, right? It didn't take me 20 years to come to that, but it took me about 20 years to understand that nobody could ever control me. I could always say yes or no. But my fear, but my ego, that's a cruel leader. It will control me. It will hold me back. It will distract me. It will cause me to say a person is something that they're not. It's an illusion. And if I identify with that, then I'm going to be living in a world of chaos, right? One will learn to tell the difference between what is true and what is not true. Evolution. One will see the pettiness and ignorance of war, hate, greed, racism, sexism, attachment to possessions, attachment to people. One will now be able to attach yourself to God, who is everything, or universal truth. That is everything. People change. People grow in and out. Seasons change. Your ego changes. It's a changeable illusion. And you create changeable illusions with your ego. And that's why spiritual connections are so important. But many people only know the ego connection and attachment. And so they'll be just like I was, calling things that it's not. And the blind leading the blind. The only thing constant is change. That's what they say. Ashe. That was a good teacher, y'all. Today is Wednesday. I'll be back tomorrow around the same time so that we can continue. I'm going to put this teaching on my YouTube channel so you can review it. And I have a whole playlist on this Kemetic Spirituality. You're so welcome, pretty lady. I admire truth telling too. You're so welcome, Lori. L is 444. Oh, Ashe. McLovin's mom. It was illuminating. Ashe. 64, you're welcome. Definitely needed it today. You're welcome, Mystique. How you been? Thank you for the follow. B-side, you're welcome. Pixie, you're welcome. So before I go, that book is called, let me get it. It's called Egyptian Yoga, the Philosophy of Enlightenment. You can go to my profile. I have a link to it. Just go into my Amazon storefront. Um, it's by Dr. Muwata Ashby. It's part of my yoga training, or was part of my yoga training, and I just keep revisiting it because it's really good. You're welcome, Aristotle. In my link tree on my profile, I have an audio that I just released. It's the audio version of my book, which I have not published yet, but the audio is out. I'm testing the audio, okay? So it's at a low price. So if you want it now, you can get it now. It's called Esoteric Shadow Work. Thank you, McLovin's mom. Esoteric Shadow Work infuses psychological shadow work with universal principles. So I add another layer to your shadow work so that you can understand the principles that are at work when you look at your experiences. Okay. It is in my link tree. It's called Esoteric Shadow Work. I do, where's my phone? I have other ebooks. I have other books. Let me show you. I have one called Self Intimacy, A Beginner's Guide to Self Discovery. I have two smaller books. One is called Renew Your Mind. It's like a daily devotional process. One called Inner Stance. And that one is for people who are just learning how to speak up, right? I have Presence, which is the Empowered Empath's Guide to Helping Others Without Draining Yourself. Yes, visit veronicamarie.com. Thank you, 64. And the most recent book, I haven't put the ebook out yet, but the audio is there for you because I wanted to get it out. It's in my link tree. It's called Esoteric Shadow Work. So let me show you how to get there. Here's my page right here. So right here, there are links. They will pop up down at the bottom. Choose link tree. And there it is right there, big as ever. So you're going to enter the payment and then I will email you the link. So many good books that are life-changing. I appreciate you. I appreciate our journey together. 64. I have so many things to talk about, but I want to tell you about that audio. Go get it. Hey, Rusty, how you doing? This is my website, Veronica Marie. If these are their self-intimacy, I have a nutrition plan right there. There's Renew Your Mind. There's Inner Stance. This one is a beginner's guide to speaking up, how to say no and not go along with jokes that are hurtful. This one is called Presence. Presence and self-intimacy is something to work through. These are workbooks. And then you can book a session, an emotional wellness session. We can do a yoga session. I offer personal lessons called readings. There's a bunch of different things that we can get into. And then you have my YouTube channel. It's called The Healthy Happy Life Show with Veronica Marie. I have a podcast there. It's a whole playlist. There's all kind of things for you to help you live a healthier and a happier life. So if you're new here, welcome. Let me know that you're new. I just want to welcome you. My name is Veronica Marie. I'm an emotional wellness coach and a spiritual coach. I'm a personal trainer. I'm a nutritional specialist, a group fitness instructor. I'm a yogi and a yogic instructor. I'm a tantric practitioner. I'm a capoeista. I'm a bunch of different things, but it's all for one holistic existence, right? Welcome, Elle. Let me make sure I follow you. Good. Thank you for being here. Anybody else new? I think I followed everybody I think I followed you, Lori. I didn't. There you go. Followed you back. Welcome. I hope to see y'all again. Tiara, I see, is a good friend of mine and also a business partner. So A lot of times we work together and support one another in this way. Hey, Taffy. Yes, you found your tribe. We are here. I followed you earlier this morning. Mrs. Robinson, let me follow you. And feel free to follow me. Thank y'all for hanging out. I may come back tonight. I don't know, because if I have capoeira tonight and he does like he did last night, I might have to go to sleep. Aristotle, I think I followed you. Yes, I did. All right. I appreciate y'all presence. So take that, all that teaching, and think on it, write notes, journal about it, talk to friends about it. I want to start having some community calls. I've already started this in different ways, community calls, but I want to have community calls with you, y'all. And I want to get on Zoom and talk about topics, answer questions, allow you to share your perspectives. Maybe even sometimes share your business so we can know what you have going on in case someone in the community needs what you offer. Workshops, like all different kinds of things. So much love and light to you as well. You're welcome, Taffy. So are y'all members of my bulletin board? If not, I think you can go to my my page and join it. It's where I post announcements, and every day I post something about the frequency of the day to give you guidance. The bulletin board, let's see how you can join it. Okay, so if you go to my page, there are these little tabs here. You can go to the Divine Mother Somi's bulletin board, and it's right there. It's a thread, a text thread for all followers who have chosen to come in a little closer. All right, so we got more things coming up. I'm going to release y'all now because I need to go. I've been said I was going, and then I got passionate about it, but I know it was needed to be said, and it was needed to be heard and said by me. Hey, Sean. All right, good night. Not good night. No, not good night. Beautiful creature.